Hello there, my dear friend. Come on in, find a comfortable spot. Let's just sit and chat for a little while today. I wanted to ask you something I've been thinking about lately, and maybe you have too. Does this picture sound anything like your own mornings? You know, the alarm clock might not even be needed anymore. The sunlight itself nudges you awake. But that moment between sleep and fully waking, does it sometimes feel less like a gentle transition and more like trying to push a heavy boulder? Uphill? Maybe your feet hit the floor and there's that familiar chorus of creaks and groans from your knees or your back, like an old beloved rocking chair settling under weight. It takes a moment, doesn't it, just to get the machinery moving? Then you make your way to the kitchen, perhaps anticipating that first wonderful cup of coffee, the one that's supposed to clear the cobwebs and get the engine started. But lately, does it feel like the engine just isn't catching like it used to? The coffee is warm, it tastes fine, but that familiar surge of alertness, that feeling of, okay, I'm ready for the day, seems muted, diminished somehow. You go through the morning routine, getting dressed, maybe reading the paper or checking the news, but there's this underlying feeling of waiting, like you're moving through air that's turned thick, like honey or damp sand. Simple tasks, things you used to do without a second thought, like tidying up the kitchen or heading out for a short walk, suddenly feel like they require a monumental effort, a real marshalling of reserves you're not sure you even have. It's more than just being tired. It's a deeper kind of drag, a weariness that settles into your bones. And it's frustrating, isn't it? Deeply frustrating. You remember a time when you had more spark, more vim and vigor, more of that get-up-and-go spirit. You see things you want to do, play with the grandkids, work in the garden, maybe finish that project in the garage, but the energy just isn't there to match the intention. Sometimes, perhaps in the quiet of the afternoon, you might just sink into your favorite chair and let out a sigh, wondering, where did it all go? Is this just how it is now? That feeling of constantly running on fumes, of starting the day already feeling depleted, can cast a shadow, can't it? It can feel quite isolating, quite exhausting, just contemplating it all. But what if I told you that a part of this pervasive fatigue, this sense that your inner battery is always hovering near empty, might be subtly influenced, gently nudged along, by something incredibly common, something perhaps unassuming, maybe even labeled harmless, possibly sitting right there in your kitchen cabinet or refrigerator at this very moment, hiding in plain sight. It's not some complex medical diagnosis requiring difficult treatments, nor is it about blaming yourself. Instead, it might be linked to a simple, perhaps quite surprising everyday item that we can explore adjusting gently and easily together. There might be a quiet path back to feeling a bit more energized, a bit more like you. If this feels like your mornings, if any of that resonates with that feeling of dragging through the day, please do drop a comment below. I truly would love to hear your thoughts and know I'm not alone in noticing these things. Your experiences matter. And if you haven't already, perhaps consider subscribing and sticking around for this chat. We're about to uncover a simple approach, a gentle fix, that just might help lift some of that fog. Now please stay with me for this little journey we're taking together today. Don't worry, I'm not about to unveil some complicated restrictive plan or push some miracle cure you've heard a dozen times before. Over the next few minutes, we're going to gently unpack 3 specific ideas, 3 soft suggestions rooted in sensible, understandable science. Nothing overly technical, I promise. That could potentially help you recapture some of that lost vitality, that feeling of having a bit more fuel in the tank. Think of them as small nudges, not giant shoves. And because everyone loves a little something extra, I've got a delightful bonus tip tucked away for you towards the end. Something simple and soothing. Plus, I want to share a genuinely inspiring story about a fellow traveler on this road. Someone perhaps much like you or me, who found a way to navigate a similar challenge and rediscovered a little spark. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, and perhaps rightly so, oh boy, here comes another health guru promising the moon. Maybe you've tried things before, diets or supplements that didn't seem to make much difference, or plans that were just too difficult to stick with. I completely understand that skepticism. We're bombarded with so much information these days. It's hard to know what to believe. Let me reassure you, though. What we're talking about today isn't about magic pills or deprivation. It's about simple, common-sense awareness, focusing on small, manageable adjustments that are accessible to virtually everyone. No need for expensive gym memberships or exotic ingredients you can't pronounce or find. These are gentle shifts, things you can try, without turning your whole life upside down. It's more about understanding how small, everyday choices can quietly add up, for better or for worse, and how making slightly different choices can tilt the balance back towards feeling good. So please make yourself comfortable. Maybe refill that mug with some warm tea, or perhaps just a comforting glass of plain water. Settle into your chair, take a nice, easy breath, and let's explore these ideas together, like old friends having a quiet, helpful conversation. All right, let's dive into our first gentle idea. This one is primarily focused on helping you achieve a more steady kind of energy throughout your day, rather than experiencing those frustrating peaks followed by sudden energy-sapping valleys. We need to talk a little bit about certain types of foods and drinks that have become incredibly common in our modern world, perhaps even staples in many households. I'm thinking particularly about things that are very high in refined sugars, or are made primarily from processed white flour. Picture those fizzy sodas, the sugary breakfast cereals that promise fun but deliver a crash, the tempting pastries, cookies, cakes, white bread, maybe even some processed snack bars that seem healthy but are loaded with hidden sweeteners. These types of foods can give you a very rapid burst of energy, it's true. You eat or drink them, and your blood sugar level shoots up quickly. For a short while, you might feel a temporary lift, a bit of a buzz. But here's the thing. What goes up fast must come down fast. Your body rushes to deal with that sudden sugar overload, and often it overcompensates, causing your blood sugar to plummet just as quickly, sometimes even lower than where it started. That's the crash we often feel, that sudden wave of tiredness, irritability, maybe even brain fog hitting you mid-morning or mid-afternoon. Think of it like trying to heat your home by constantly throwing small handfuls of dry leaves onto the fire. You get brief, intense flare-ups, but they burn out almost instantly, leaving you chilly again and constantly needing to add more fuel. It's an exhausting cycle. Over the long term, researchers, scientists who study how our bodies work and how food affects us, have found that consistently riding this blood sugar roller coaster day after day doesn't just make you feel tired in the moment. It can put a strain on your whole system, potentially impacting your body's natural hormone balance, including hormones related to energy, mood, and overall vitality, which can become more sensitive as we get older. Now, the practical step here doesn't have to be drastic. It's about a gentle shift. How about trying this? Identify just one regular sugary item in your day. Maybe it's that can of soda you have with lunch, or the sweetened iced tea you sip in the afternoon. Could you try swapping it for a glass of plain water, or water with a squeeze of fresh lemon or lime, or maybe a splash of unsweetened cranberry juice for flavor? Or perhaps at breakfast, if you usually reach for a sugary cereal or a bagel, maybe try switching to something like plain oatmeal. You can add berries or nuts for flavor and texture, or a couple of eggs, or some whole grain toast with avocado. It's like consciously choosing to put a slow-burning, seasoned log on your inner fire instead of those quick-burning leaves. The goal is sustained warmth, steady energy, not those jarring ups and downs. Remember, this is about gentle adjustments. As always, it's wise to have a quick chat with your doctor or a healthcare provider before making significant changes to what you eat or drink, especially if you're managing any existing health conditions like diabetes or heart concerns. They understand your personal health picture and can offer the best guidance. Moving on to our second idea, let's shift focus slightly towards enhancing your overall feeling of physical comfort, maybe reducing some of that feeling of stiffness or achiness that can make movement feel like a chore. Sometimes that pervasive fatigue we talked about isn't just a lack of get-up-and-go energy, but it's intertwined with a general sense of bodily discomfort, like your joints are complaining or your muscles feel perpetually tight. Think of your body, if you will, like a complex and wonderful machine, maybe like a classic car you've cherished for years. To keep it running smoothly, it needs the right kind of fuel and regular, gentle maintenance. Now consider highly processed foods. I'm talking about things that often come in bright, crinkly packages, things found in the snack aisle or the freezer section, often with ingredient lists a mile long filled with words you might not recognize. Think frozen dinners, packaged snack cakes, certain types of crackers, processed meats like some deli slices or sausages, and foods with lots of artificial additives, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. These kinds of foods, when eaten frequently, can sometimes act like grit or sludge getting into the fine workings of that classic car's engine. They can contribute subtly to a state of low-level, chronic irritation or stress within the body, something scientists sometimes refer to using the term inflammation. Now, this isn't usually like the acute inflammation you see with a cut or a sprained ankle, which is red and hot and part of healing. This is more like a constant, low background hum of irritation throughout your system. And this persistent internal static can manifest in various ways, sometimes contributing to those feelings of stiffness, achiness, or just general physical malaise that makes everything feel a bit harder, a bit more effortful. It's like trying to open a door with rusty hinges. It takes more force, and it just doesn't move smoothly. Long before we had fancy scientific terms, people intuitively understood that simple, natural whole foods generally made them feel better. Think back to the kinds of meals that might have been more common in generations past, perhaps what your own parents or grandparents ate more regularly. Meals often centered around fresh vegetables, fruits picked in season, good quality proteins like fish, poultry, beans or lentils, and whole grains like oats or brown rice. These foods tend to provide the nutrients your body actually needs, without the added burden of excessive processing, sugar, unhealthy fats, and artificial ingredients. So, a gentle, practical step here? It could be as simple as consciously deciding to add just one extra serving of vegetables to one of your meals each day. It doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe add a handful of spinach to your scrambled eggs in the morning, or have a small side salad with your lunch. Perhaps add some steamed broccoli, green beans, or carrots alongside your dinner protein. Think of it as gently applying a little bit of lubricating oil to those rusty hinges, day by day. Each small addition of wholesome food helps. Focus on color. Adding different colored vegetables and fruits often means adding different beneficial nutrients. Maybe start by just aiming to add one more colorful plant-based item to your plate than you normally would. It's a comforting, nurturing step towards helping your body feel more at ease, more smoothly functional. Now for our third idea, and this one might connect some dots in a way you perhaps haven't considered before. We've talked about steady energy and physical comfort, but did you know that gently dialing back on those same highly processed, sugary foods we've been discussing could also play a surprising role in helping you achieve a more restful, restorative night's sleep? You might be thinking, hold on a minute, how on earth does the cookie I ate this afternoon have anything to do with how well I sleep tonight? It seems like a bit of a stretch, perhaps, but let's revisit that concept of the blood sugar roller coaster we explored earlier. When your blood sugar levels are swinging dramatically up and down throughout the day due to consuming lots of refined sugars and processed carbohydrates, it doesn't just affect your energy levels while you're awake. This internal chaos can significantly disrupt your body's delicate hormonal balance and its natural internal clock, the circadian rhythm, which governs your sleep-wake cycle. If your body is constantly dealing with these surges and crashes, it can interfere with the natural hormonal signals that tell your brain it's time to wind down and prepare for sleep. Furthermore, remember that low-level chronic inflammation we linked to processed foods in our last point? That internal irritation doesn't just impact your joints or muscles. It affects your entire system, including your nervous system. A body that's constantly in a subtle state of stress or irritation finds it much harder to fully relax, to let go, and to sink into the deep restorative stages of sleep that are so crucial for physical repair and mental refreshment. By consciously choosing more whole, unprocessed foods, foods that provide nutrients without the dramatic sugar spikes and inflammatory load, you help bring your body back towards a state of greater balance and calm. Think of it like gently calming choppy, troubled waters in a lake. When the wind, the dietary stress, dies down, the waves gradually settle, the surface becomes smooth and reflective, allowing for stillness and peace. The body works similarly. Reducing the internal noise from processed foods allows its natural rhythms, including sleep, to function more smoothly. So, what's a simple, minimal effort step you can take here? Start by becoming a bit more curious about food labels, particularly on packaged goods you buy regularly. You don't need to become an obsessive detective. Just develop a habit of glancing at the sugar content and the ingredient list. You might be genuinely surprised to find significant amounts of added sugar lurking in places you wouldn't expect. Savory items like pasta sauces, salad dressings, ketchup, bread, canned soups, and even some healthy yogurts. Just becoming aware is a powerful first step. The goal isn't perfection or immediate drastic elimination. It's about gradually reducing the intake of these hidden offenders, making small swaps where you can. Maybe choose the sauce with less sugar or opt for plain yogurt and add your own fruit. It's like gently tuning out static on a radio. Clearing the interference little by little helps the clear signal, your body's natural ability to rest, come through more strongly. It's about helping to dissipate the clouds, allowing the natural sunshine of good sleep to emerge. All right, as promised, here's a little something extra, a delightful bonus tip just for you, a small treat to complement the gentle dietary shifts we've been discussing. We've talked about how reducing the load of processed foods and sugars can help calm the system internally, potentially leading to steadier energy, more physical comfort, and better sleep. This bonus tip builds on that feeling of inner calm. When your body isn't constantly reacting to sugar spikes or dealing with that low-grade inflammation, you might naturally start to feel a little less frazzled, a bit more centered, even without consciously trying. It's a lovely side effect. So here's the bonus. Take that emerging sense of inner quietness, or even just the intention for quietness, and deliberately pair it with a dedicated moment of mindful calm each day. It sounds incredibly simple. Almost too simple, I know. Find just 5 minutes, truly, that's all it takes. Sometime during your day when you're unlikely to be interrupted. Maybe it's first thing in the morning before the household wakes up, perhaps during a quiet moment in the afternoon, or even just before you drift off to sleep at night. Find a comfortable place to sit, or you can even lie down if that feels better. Gently close your eyes, or just lower your gaze softly, and then simply bring your attention to your breath. Don't try to change it or control it initially, just notice it. Notice the sensation of the air entering through your nose. Cool, perhaps. Feel your chest or belly gently rise. And then notice the air leaving your mouth or nose. Warmer now. Feel your body gently fall. After a few moments of just observing, you can try taking a few slightly slower, deeper breaths. Breathe in gently through your nose, allowing your belly to expand softly like a balloon. Then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth, perhaps making a soft ha sound, like you're gently fogging a mirror. Feel any tension releasing with the outbreath. Just 5 minutes of this simple, focused breathing. My wonderful neighbor, Frank, he's 82, sharp as a whip, and still tends his prize-winning roses. He absolutely swears by this. He told me over the garden fence one day, after he'd started paying more attention to cutting back on sugary snacks based on his doctor's advice, he added this 5-minute breathing practice. He grinned and said, "You know, it's like hitting a little reset button for my brain. All the mental clutter just settles down, makes the rest of the day feel smoother." It costs absolutely nothing, requires no special equipment, and honestly, can feel remarkably restorative, almost like treating yourself to a mini spa moment right there in your own chair. It's a pocket of peace in your day. Give it a gentle try when the mood strikes you. No pressure, no expectations, just a simple offering of quiet attention to yourself. It's a lovely way to enhance that feeling of well-being we're aiming for. Now, I'd love to share a little story with you. A true story about a gentleman named George. George is a vibrant 75-year-old, living down in sunny Florida, where the ocean breeze often carries the scent of salt and possibility. For years, one of his greatest joys, his Saturday morning ritual, was fishing off the local pier. He loved the camaraderie with the other regulars, the patient waiting, the thrill of a tug on the line, the simple peace of watching the waves roll in. But over the preceding couple of years, George found his beloved fishing trips becoming fewer and farther between, until eventually they stopped altogether. It wasn't one big thing, but a gradual accumulation. He just felt profoundly tired, almost constantly. His knees and back ached more persistently, making the walk out onto the pier seem daunting. The idea of gathering his fishing gear, the rods, the tackle box, the bait bucket, felt overwhelming, like preparing for a major expedition rather than a pleasant morning outing. Standing there under the Florida sun for a few hours, something he used to relish now just seemed exhausting before he even started, so George mostly stayed home. He spent more time in his armchair, watching television, maybe reading a bit, but feeling a growing sense of frustration and, frankly, a bit blue about missing out on something he loved so dearly. He felt like a vital part of his life was slipping away. His daughter Sarah, who visited him often, noticed the change, the dip in his usual cheerful spirit. One day, she gently shared an article she'd read, discussing ideas very similar to the ones we've chatted about today, about how an overload of processed foods and hidden sugars can really drain one's energy and contribute to aches and pains, especially in the later years. George, being a practical man, was naturally quite skeptical. Food? Making me too tired to fish? Sounds like nonsense, he initially grumbled. But Sarah was gentle and persistent, and George loved his daughter. Plus, deep down, he was tired of feeling tired. He thought, well, what have I really got to lose by trying? He decided to start small, not making any dramatic pronouncements. He began by swapping his usual lunchtime sandwich on fluffy white bread for a hearty salad topped with some grilled chicken or fish. He consciously cut out the sugary sweet tea he tended to sip throughout the afternoon, replacing it with plain water, sometimes with a slice of lime. He started paying a bit more attention at dinner, having smaller portions of starchy sides and adding more steamed vegetables. He didn't become a health fanatic overnight. These were gradual, almost unnoticeable shifts. But slowly, subtly, over several weeks, George began to notice a difference. It wasn't a lightning bolt, more like the gentle tide coming in. He felt a little less groggy when he woke up. He found himself having a bit more energy, enough to potter around his small garden again, trimming the hedges without feeling wiped out afterwards. Then, one Friday evening, looking ahead to the weekend, the thought of the pier surfaced in his mind, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't trigger that immediate wave of weariness or dread. It felt possible, maybe even appealing. So the next morning, George woke up with a little flicker of his old anticipation. He dusted off his old tackle box, checked his lines, grabbed his favorite worn fishing hat, and headed down to the pier. The walk felt a bit easier. The sun felt warm and welcome, not draining. He didn't catch a prize-winning fish that day, just a small, feisty gruntfish. But as he sat there on his usual bench, feeling the familiar weight of the rod in his hands, smelling the salty air, hearing the cries of the gulls, and feeling that gentle tug on the line, he felt an overwhelming sense of coming home to himself. He felt more alive, more engaged, more George than he had in what felt like ages. He was so thrilled, he snapped a picture on his old phone, holding up that little fish with the biggest, most genuine grin stretching across his face, and sent it straight to Sarah. It wasn't a miracle cure that happened overnight. It was the power of small, consistent, gentle changes that quietly gave him back a precious piece of his life, a piece he feared was lost forever. It's a testament to how these simple adjustments can truly ripple outwards, bringing back joy and vitality. So my friends, we've covered quite a bit of ground together in our chat today. We explored 3 gentle, practical ideas, focusing on achieving steadier energy by easing back on those sugary highs and lows, supporting your overall physical comfort, and reducing that rusty hinge feeling by welcoming more simple whole foods, and even potentially improving your sleep quality by being mindful of those sneaky hidden sugars and the internal calm they disrupt. And of course, we added that lovely little bonus tip, carving out just 5 minutes for some quiet, mindful breathing, like Frank does, to hit that mental reset button and soothe the system. Remember George's story? It wasn't about radical transformation, but about the profound impact of small, sustained shifts leading him back to his beloved fishing pier, back to a feeling of vitality. These aren't demanding rules, just gentle invitations towards feeling a little brighter, a little more comfortable, a little more energized as you move through your days. Now, I warmly invite you to reflect on our conversation. Did one particular idea resonate with you more than the others? Perhaps the thought of swapping just one sugary drink for water feels achievable? Or maybe adding a simple side salad to your lunch seems like an easy starting point? Or perhaps the idea of those 5 quiet minutes of breathing appeals the most right now? Whatever it is, I encourage you to consider picking just one tiny thing, one small, gentle step that feels right for you, and giving it a try. Maybe commit to trying it for just a week or 2, with curiosity rather than pressure. See how it feels. Notice any subtle changes. And then, if you feel comfortable doing so, I would be genuinely delighted if you would come back here and share your experience in the comments below. Tell us what you tried, how it went, or simply share any thoughts you have about our chat today. Your insights and experiences enrich this conversation for everyone. If you found this time together helpful, if our conversation sparked a useful idea, or just made you feel a little less alone in navigating these things, would you consider giving this video a thumbs up? That little click really does help other folks who might benefit from this chat to find it more easily. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I'd be honored if you'd consider doing so. We'll have more friendly conversations, like this one, sharing simple practical tips for well-being in our later years. Finally, perhaps think about sharing this video with a friend, a neighbor, or a family member. Someone you care about who you think might appreciate a little encouragement or a gentle nudge towards feeling better. Thank you, truly, for your time and your attention today. It means a lot to me to be able to connect with you like this. Please take good care of yourself. Stay well, stay comfortable, find moments of peace in your day, and I sincerely hope to chat with you again very soon.